G'day guys, Mac with the House Circle, and today, The Road to Thramas Part 4, Marvelous Minders. There's some new Dark Angels. Okay, what do I think of them? Well, straight away people are going to go, oh, you're the Lord of Salt, you hate everything, what's wrong with them? Well, okay, they're not perfect, but I do quite like them, despite what the memes and the jokes on Facebook may say. Now, that doesn't mean they're flawless, but I don't think the flaw is actually in the sculpt. So, first things first, people don't like the fluff because they're wearing the beige Deathwing colours. It has to do with being a bodyguard soldier, and if you save the person you're bodyguarding, you get awarded this bone-coloured armour. It's a bunch of drivel because the old established fluff that's been there for 30 years now with the Deathwing was that they switched the bone-coloured armour after going down to a planet that had a gene stealer infestation and cleansing it, and in honour of their sacrifice, they painted their armour in this bone colour. You know, to that effect, roughly. It's very old fluff, very well known. This is just a blatant retcon of it, and I'd say really an unnecessary retcon. There are other ways that you could introduce the unit, so on that front, not the greatest, but, you know, maybe it reads better as you read it in a story or something, I don't know. Personally, I don't like it, and again, the majority of people that have come to our Facebook page or messaged me about it today all say they don't like it, and a lot of these are long-time Dark Angels fans. That said, if you do like it, good for you. It's a retcon, but not everyone feels the same as I do about retcons, so I'm not going to tell people what they can and can't like. I can only talk about what I like. So, sculpt-wise, I do like them. I have some issues with them, though, which we'll go through. First things first, though, they look nice. I like the fact that they're different to each other. This model in particular, what I've done is I've done a quick mock-up of it to illustrate some points, which I'll talk about in a minute. But looks good. It's got a bolt gun and a sword, you know, classic marine imagery, cool looking helmet. The wings aren't too crazy on top either, they work. It's not as busy as it looks on the surface, and I'll again explain why in a minute. It's good, solid. Then we get to these guys here. So, bottom left corner, the guy with the twin-handed sword. Fine, great. Would make a great character, Praetor, champion, you name it. In fact, I think I can see this making its way to a lot of other legions, slightly modified. The guy on the right, with the power fist at the bottom, looks great as well. But then we get these two guys with the shields at the top. And I don't like those. And the reason I don't like those is partially because of the hilarity of the shields, but partially because this guy exists. And this guy has a really, really nice shield. It's got plenty of space for heraldry and that kind of thing. This nice sort of kite shield that he's got. This is, of course, the Dark Angels Legion Praetor. And yet again, we have a case of the regular guys in the Legion. Now, okay, they're like super paladin, bodyguard, elite. It's the regular guys are kind of outshining the characters of the Legion when it comes to bling. And if you put down a unit of these guys on the tabletop, and you plonk this guy in the middle of them, I think people are actually going to have a hard time picking who's the character out of that. And go, oh, which one's the Praetor? Or maybe they will just look and go, which one's got the least shit going on with it? That's the Praetor. I mean, he's basically in stock Legion Mark III power armor. There's a slight little, you know, pointy arrow added on the shin and above the knee. He's got a little bit of a loincloth, a little bit of a sort of hanging single tasset from the chest, but otherwise it's sort of Mark III power armor. Then you compare it to these guys, they've got like little miniature shields for their kneecaps, they've got extra little shields hanging off the sides of their hips like tassets. They've got this unique, very different pattern of power armored helmet. They also have like different trim on their shoulder pads compared to this guy. Well, it's not that dissimilar actually, so I shouldn't use that as criticism. I apologise. Yeah, so they look more unique than he does. These guys look very different to stock power armor compared to this Praetor. And I really love this Praetor, which is why I'm giving these guys such a hard time. And I like these too, but let's look at their shields up close. Here you have a shield with an icon of a Dark Angel with a shield which then has a void shield inside of that, or a miniaturized void shield. Why? Why do we have 3 layers of shield here? It's kind of comical. Because simplicity like this, or like the standard boarding shields, or even looking at like the Vigil Pattern Storm shields you see on the Imperial Fist, they look really nice. This, though, I don't hate it. It does look very much like the Deathwing Knight shields from 40k. And this is a 30k miniature, so I don't necessarily think it fits the aesthetic. I think just taking this shield and putting it onto this model would look way better. But sculpt-wise, that's my only real complaint. I will point out as well on this guy, his miniature shield that holds the miniature shield isn't even in the center of the shield, it's offset to the side, so I don't know if that improves or deproves the efficiency of the shield, but it seems like an odd design choice. I imagine it would make the shield worse in function. But, that's just me. So, this is nitpicky stuff. But, hey, if all I'm complaining about with the sculpt is just the weird shield, is it really that bad? I mean, come on, I've said I like the sculpts. What more can I say? So, here's my little case study, right? Here we have our lovely dude in his power armor. These models, to me, when I first saw them, I mean, these are really, really busy. And then I stopped and thought for a moment, and here's where we're going to use a bit of critical brain. So, critical brain looks at this and goes, it seems busy, why? And then we go and we think a little deeper. What is busy about it? Has he really got that much stuff on him? No, a feather or a miniature sword, a grenade hanging from the belt buckle, a couple of tiny little like Oath of Moment or Purity seals, little cross sword in the kneecap, little unnecessary cross sword on the bolt gun. That's it. That's not really that busy. Okay. What else is making this appear visually busy? And then it struck me. It's the colours. The colours are too much. So, whilst you look at a standard Dark Angel Space Marine, and he's got, black armour, and he's got red trim, maybe like little bit of white heraldry, this has too much bone. There is way too much of the cream-coloured bone, and when you have black and bone, which is basically white, two very, very strong opposite ends of the colour spectrum, you end up with a model that looks a lot busier than it is in reality, because your eyes are playing tricks on you. Because these things have such hard contrast with one another, you can't help but notice the differences. It's not like a subtle colour shift across highlights on a miniature, for example. This is a really, really strong and noticeable shift. And then you've got the purple of the sword guard, you've got all the extra red on the chest and the loincloth. So I performed a little experiment. I tried desaturating it. Look at the difference now. Now granted, it's lost a lot of the resolution because of how I desaturated on my phone at work, just to get an idea of it, because again, I was doing this on the fly. And I could probably, plug it into Photoshop and do a really nice one, but you get the idea. Suddenly this model is a crapload less busy, because all the metallics have turned the same colour. The red, the black, they've become basically the same colour, shades of grey. And the bone isn't anywhere near as strong, so you end up looking more like a Raven Guard model here, with just the white helmet, white arm, everything else being in very dull silvers and blacks. I think that's the problem here. It's the paint job. And this is why I think it's a problem that I'm explaining it in this video. If you take this miniature here, and you change the paint scheme, give it a black helmet, or maybe even keep the white helmet, but definitely give it 2 black arms, and you do the same thing with all of these models. Get rid of all the bone, or go the opposite direction. Make them completely bone. Maybe you're a huge fan of that new fluff of they saved someone's life by diving in front of the president and taking the bullet for him, so they get to wear this bone armor. Great, go that way. I think though, in solid colours, either solid bone or solid black, these will look great. But having a hard contrast between bone and black, and then mixing all these other primary colours like red that are strong in and of themselves in the middle, is causing this horrible bloat to happen. Where your eyes looking at it going, man, what the fuck is going on here? There's so much happening with this model. When really, it's not much more than the average Legion Praetor. The armor's more stylised, as I pointed out, but It's nothing crazy whatsoever. So anyway, I like them overall. I mean, pros versus cons. The only cons, change the shield, change the paint. Apart from that, well, I guess the fluff. Fluff isn't the best. But apart from that, they got a great mix of weapons, they got some awesome poses, they're doing different poses as well. It's not like the Terminators where all the Knights Cenobium have the exact same leg pose, just left knees out or right knees out differing. These guys, some are legs up on rocks, some are standing on the ground, some are leaning to the side, some aren't. You know, there's a great mix going on here, and I really like what they've done with them. And I'm hoping we get more like this in the future. Anyway, let me know what you think below. Mac with the Outer Circle. See you all next time.